Hey everybody, it says I'm live, or you're live, and how you doing? You would say, hey, whatever happened to Ms. Brown? Why isn't she in the panel next to you or anything like that? And why are you talking about Ms. Brown at this time of night anyway? Well, those are all good questions. I'll answer them. First of all, I was originally supposed to, remember the date, interview Ms. Brown on, yep, Wednesday. And we had the date set. In fact, to her and her election aides credit, they gave me a couple of dates. I chose Wednesday at 12th at 5 o'clock, thinking, oh, that's no harm, no foul. Forgetting that there was a good possibility that date was going to run or cause me to run right into or collide with the Oakland City Council hearing where AESCG was to receive their votes, but not without controversy, of course, to begin consummating the sale of the athletics, the city's property, not the athletics property. They're working on that too, but the city's share of the Coliseum to it. And so, guess what? The problem did occur, and I, stupid me, didn't call Reno to say, hey, you know what? I need to reschedule. I completely boneheaded it. Absolutely stupid on my part. So I realized it, reached out to her because it was so, my error was so bad. She was waiting for me in the room. All right. So none of this is her fault. It is all on me. And I said, hey, look, let's go tonight. She couldn't. And she had some other commitments. I said, fine. So I'm making this because there's a vessel. This is the vessel. And when I take on a commitment to interview someone to let the public know about them, I do so in this way because not only is it a YouTube video, but it's also on Twitter, and it's also auto posted to 8 of the news websites in the Zennie62 media system. So you don't want to click on one of these things and it says waiting, and it's like waiting forever, waiting for Godot, right? You would like to see something said about the candidate. That's why you click. That's why I'm talking about Ms. Brown. And it wasn't, and it's not going to be, we're still going to talk, an endorsement interview. It was to let the public get to know her. That was the idea. And for good measure. First of all, I like to help candidates get the word out about the fact that they're running. Look at this list of people running for at large. That is what Ms. Brown is running for, at large. And wow, I mean, this is a huge list of names. Some of them you know, most of them you don't know. All right. Some of them you know, most of them you don't know. Some of them you know, most of them you don't know. For example, there's Aaron Armstrong. I still call him the police chief, Lerone Armstrong. No offense to the current police chief. There's Rowena Brown, Lear Garrett, Tanya Love, who is the chief of staff to Oakland District Councilmember Carol Fife. There's Kanitha, pretty name, I hope I pronounced it correctly, Maturi. There's Mindy Perchenik. There's Fabian Robinson. There's Salika Thomas, who I did interview twice, so you know about her. There's Christina Tostado, and there's Charlene Wang. So this one would be my second interview with an Oakland City Council at-large candidate. My objective is to interview all of them, all right? That's my objective. But I wanted to fill this vessel by saying, hey, look, here's a little bit about Ms. Brown, and we can go from there. Who is she? She is an Oakland Politico. And if you've been involved in Oakland, for example, if you worked with the city council during Lauren Taylor's time as council member, chances are you met Rowena, because she was liaison to the city council itself on behalf of Councilmember Taylor. And then you may remember that she was campaign manager for Assemblywoman Mia Bonta. And if you went to the University of San Francisco, you may very well have been in the same Masters of Law program Rowena was in. She just got her cap and gown, I believe, last year. Congratulations. She is a person who is steeped in how government works from what I've been able to determine about her in the brief moment I've talked with her. And I'm anxious to get her on and find out what her message is and what her thoughts are on Oakland from the perspective of what she's done, what she wants to do if she wins, that sort of thing. So I'm excited to get her on. That's all I'm going to say right here. And I know that's going to happen, but I wanted to fill in this vessel. Yeah, I mean, 11 candidates. Think about it. We have a record. That's a record. We have a record 11 candidates running for the Oakland City Council at-large seat. 11. None of them are named Rebecca Kaplan. Think about that. Now, you would say, Zennie, what other race has as many people running? And I would say, well, District 3. It's got 10. Whew. All right, 10. And it's June 17th. Time enough for somebody to jump in. But I'm saying, if you jump in now, you are about a good 2 weeks from being too late. All right, I'm not talking about the deadline. I'm talking about just that time you need to campaign for people to know you. You don't want to do a Harold Lowe. Harold Lowe ran with, I think, just outside of 2 months before the election. Harold, love you, but you and I both know that wasn't the way to do it. So don't get mad at me, all right? Don't get mad at me, Harold. He ran against a juggernaut. You know, let's face it, okay? Nikki Fortunato Bass is a political juggernaut. She's got it down. She may very well be our next Alameda County supervisor, replacing, well, not replacing, but taking the place of the retiring Keith Carson. You can't replace Keith Carson. All right. So that's going to be a really interesting outcome, don't you think? But yeah, so again, that is a huge race. That's a number of people running. And as I look at, let's see, District 7, that's Treva Reed versus Marika Goolsby. All right. I know the name. It's a deep family name in Oakland, if I'm not mistaken. And then, of course, District 3 is Baba Alofalabi, Donnell C. Dunbar, the incumbent Carol Fife, Sean M. Hirsch, Tariq Icaro, Tyron Jordan, Lewis Lester, Warren Logan, who I interviewed, Miran, Sim Madar, and Faye Taylor. That's that's the largest list of people who ran for the District 3 Oakland City Council seat since, I would say, does it go back that far? I'm really trying to think if it does go back that far. Let me give that give that some thought. But does it really go back as far as he does? I would say maybe. That's a. Yeah, I would say the greatest number of people we've had running for the District 3 seat was when Sean Sullivan ran. And that was, I think Sean Sullivan was the Oakland City Council candidate. I want to say that goes back to, I think it was 2004, something like that. It was whenever Nancy Nadell won, because Nancy Nadell was the eventual winner. And I should remember that. Let me just type Nancy Nadell. Nancy Nadell, who was a great council member, okay? I just have to say, Nancy may have her differences with me. I don't have really any differences with her, except that she has differences with me, which is kind of a weird thing. Anyway, I don't have any differences with her. But my point is, Nancy Nadell, I thought, was an outstanding city council member. And you know what? She came to me and asked me for her endorsement. And I said yes. And I did so because she called. We know each other a long time, going all the way back to her late husband, Chappelle Hayes. And she was running for re-election, and she had nailed the District 3 seat in 1996. And so I stand corrected. It was 96 that she ran for council. And on the way up to that election, she asked for my endorsements. That was 1996. God, that was a long time ago. It's funny when you get to your time, you have this timeline, and you think, okay, I've got everything marked on the timeline all the way back to the day I was born. I remember that, right? But then there are these little parts of it where the engineering gets a little frayed. You have to go back there. You literally have to reach back, and you have to adjust it a bit so that it looks right to where it happened. And that's why the internet is so great, because they help you do that. So at any rate, it was 1996 that she ran. She asked for my endorsement as I was a columnist for the Montclarian. That was my last year's columnist until October 16th of that 1996 year. And you would say, Zennie, wasn't the election in November? I would say, well, yeah, it was. But I had already, made my interviews and all that stuff prior to that happening. And you would then also say, well, Zennie, why did the Montclarian cut your column? And it was because I wrote in favor of Strong Mayor, Measure F, which was Elihu Harris' version of Measure X, which Jerry Brown got passed, which became our Strong Mayor system. I thought Elihu's was better. But look, bluntly, white Oakland Hills dwellers were against Elihu having the kind of power that just a few years later they allowed Jerry Brown to have. That of being a true strong mayor. Oh, that was absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And if you were saying, wait a minute, you were economic advisor to the mayor, but then you were also Montclarian columnist, and I would say, yeah. In fact, I took Chris Treadway, the information that I had been hired to be Elihu's economic advisor, and I thought Chris was going to say, well, you can't do this. He said, oh, no problem. Just put that you're Elihu's economic advisor at the bottom, your byline, right? Cool. That was it. No harm, no foul, until we came up to a matter that Warren Chip Brown, rest in peace now, disagreed with me about, and that was strong mayor, as did one of his major advertisers, T. Gary Rogers. Okay. So when you hear all this stuff about journalists saying, well, I'm objective and I'm not influenced by ads and all that stuff or spending, BS. I have a litany of experience that says otherwise. They cut my column. They certainly did. And I had the most popular column in Oakland next to Peggy Stinnett. All right. So anyway, enough about me. Okay. So I can't wait to have Rowena on to talk about Oakland and her run for district at-large city council member. Still busy thinking about Nadell in District 3, right? But again, let's get back to District 3. That's huge. Carol Fife's the incumbent. And the question is, look, if I had to put my finger in the air like that, I would say the odds of her winning are not good, because she has not worked to bring the district together. She has worked to pick fights with people in the district. Now, she's tried to give her best energy to constituents, primarily white. But there are some other issues there that don't add up in her favor. I invite Carol to come on and state her case as to why she's running for re-election. I love Carol. Carol may not remember, but she and I had a fantastic conversation when in the run-up to the 2014 election, mayoral campaign, where Oakland Mayor Lee Schaff was. See, I'm not. What am I saying? 2018 election, not 2014, because it was 2018. All right, it was that election where we saw the emergence of a new challenger, really arguably a new Oaklander, because she'd only been in Oakland since I think 2007. Yeah, 2007. And yeah, think about it. 2007. That's it. But she went and made hay with went on a tear really regarding something that we now call the anti-police terror organization, and which has done a lot of great work in Oakland, I believe. And she's went on from there to become kind of a local celebrity. Not a kind of, I would say that's not kind. I would say, straight out. But the Anti-Police Terror Project is something that was her baby. I think it's fair to say, and she has really made it into something. I think it's best to say that is what she's done. She's made it into something quite incredible, and worthy of discussion and copy, because it is much needed, because the giant degree of horrible acts that have been done, in particular to Black men by, like myself, at the hands of the California Highway Patrol, by the police. All right, by the police. Okay, that is just, there's no other way to put it. But the person who started all that, her name is Cat Brooks, and I have had Cat on now, I believe 4 times, all fantastic conversations about Oakland. The person who was her economic advisor was Carol Fife. All right. And the then not council member, now council member Fife, and I had a fantastic conversation about the problems of economic distribution and how government can solve those problems, and in particular using tax increment financing. So that's why I get puzzled about how, Carol, I don't quite know how to read where she's coming from at times. So I just simply say, hey, you know what? Carol Fife's my council member. Now, that doesn't mean I'm endorsing her for re-election, and it doesn't mean I'm not. But the fact of the matter is, I live in District 3 when I'm not, even then, but I'm also here in Fayette County, Georgia, for my dear, lovely mom, who is about to turn 90 October 1st. So that's walking a tightrope, folks. That's hard. Because my mom's the only family I got. Anyway, and I have a duty. So, but also, I have an objective to make sure that Oaklanders are informed. And the best way to do that is not to tell someone else about someone, although there is one way, and that's why people watch the channel. That's why you're watching now. But it's also to be able to hear and see that person talk about the city you care about, not issues in a way of a checklist, like, hey, I want to see how much you know about X, Y, or Z. I can get computers to do that. All right. I can program a computer to give me an answer like that. All right. Boom. Then maybe we put some skin around, a moving thing. We make it think it's an Android. And next thing you know, we've got a show, right? That's not what you want. You want to hear the candidate. You want your candidates to be human too. But I digress. My point is that Carol and I really hit it off. I'm sure she doesn't remember that. I do. All right. So, but talking about Rowena, Rowena will be back, and we'll have her here. Next vlog coming up in about 2 minutes is regarding the Oakland Athletics. Stay tuned.